I hope you all are doing well, and I welcome you all for the Tech Saturday webinar with TimesPro. Today we have a session on a very niche, product management oriented topic, and the topic name is data-driven strategy, tech product management using generative AI. And to do the honor, we have Pavitra Solek. So before I hand over the platform to her, so ladies and gentlemen, it's with a great pleasure that I introduce our distinguished guest today. And today, regarding this particular topic on data-driven strategy, future of tech product management using GenAI, join me in welcoming Pavitra Sole, a true leader in entrepreneurship and artificial intelligence. So let me just give you a quick background about how it all, how Pavitra started her journey. So it is a testament to her unwavering dedication and expertise. Armed with a degree in computer science, she embarked on a professional journey at IBM, where she honored her skill as associate software engineer. Pavitra then transitioned and moved into Microsoft, where she served as an associate consultant, further enriching her experience. However, Pavitra true calling journey, true emerged when she joined a Center of Knowledge Society as a design researcher, where she developed into intersection of design and technology. This experience laid the foundation for her subsequent role as an innovation consultant at Airhorn Innovation Consulting, where she worked for 1.5 years, contributing to groundbreaking projects and initiatives. In 2019, Pavitra started her entrepreneurial journey, where she co-founded the AI startup Kinit.io. Under her visionary leadership, pioneering groundbreaking solution in the realms of deep learning and computer vision. Later, her organization was acquired by Swiggy, a testament to Pavitra's entrepreneurial journey and cleverness and technical expertise. During her tenure at Kinit.io, Pavitra has developed a revolutionary gameplay insight engine, leveraging computer vision for sports analytics, showcasing her ability to push the boundaries of innovation. Later, she joined Swiggy in the year 2019, where she played a critical role in establishing the computer vision practice, where she served as a deep learning solution architect, facilitating the seamless transition of models from machine learning to deep learning. And also currently, Pavitra serves as the head of data science at Curl, an AI startup specializing in the commodity trading space. Her visionary leadership and technical expertise continue to drive forward the front line of AI innovation, inspiring countless individuals along her technical knowledge. And please join me in extending a warm welcome to our speaker, Ms. Pavitra. So Pavitra, it's great pleasure to have you with us, and welcome once again for our Tech Saturday webinar. And
Thanks a lot, English.
And I hope, a lot of people are awaited to, listen from your insight, like how you started your journey and also how the tech product management is going to be a future and using generative AI. So it's great pleasure having you us. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks, English. What I'll do is let me share my screen. Okay, so today's session, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Cool. So today's session is about data-driven strategy, future of tech product management in GenAI, right? Before I introduce myself, before I introduce the topic, what we'll do is we'll do a quick, a very easy quiz, right, to get started. I'm going to be showing you 3 videos, right? And each video will be around 10 seconds long. And your job, your task is to find out whether the video is fake or whether it's real. When I'm talking about fake, it means it's not a real video. That is not a real video footage, right? So it could be generated by AI, etc. So I'm going to be showing it. What we can do is, you can start responding in the chats, not right away. I'll ask you when. And anyhow, let's get started. Here's the first video. Second one is coming up next. This looks like Hogwarts Express, no? If you are a Harry Potter fan. As a matter of fact, I think it's a bridge in Scotland or someplace. Okay, and the next one. Okay, now that you've seen all the videos, I'm going to ask a question, right? How many fake videos did you watch? Okay, let's see. I'm going to the comments section. Okay, Aditya is saying it's all real. Avinash says two. Two are fake. Okay, fine. Okay, Shalini says three are fake, two fakes, one fake. Hogwarts is fake. Awesome. Okay, cool. So anything else? So who all like are saying one, right? Okay. You guys are wrong. There are actually more than one fake video. There are two fake videos. No, even that is wrong. All the videos are fake. Only Shalini got it right. Good job, Shalini. Right. So these videos, by the way, even I was quite surprised. I mean, these videos are from a model from OpenAI called as Sora, SORA. And you give a text and it's able to generate these kind of real videos. And it's going to be crazy, right? I mean, imagine the animation industry or the cinema industry itself. I mean, you can sit and create a Jurassic Park kind of a movie sitting at your home. Why not? And anyway, that's the state right now GenAI is in, right? I mean, so talking about it, generative AI and GPT-5 and GPT-4, right? But with this, I wanted to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Pavitra. I am an entrepreneur and a data science leader. I am a self-taught AI practitioner. I didn't do AI or data science degree. I didn't even know there was something called as data science till like maybe 10 years back, right? So I started my, I have around 16 plus years of experience. I started my it's called a Skin.io. I co-founded an AI startup and we got acquired by Swiggy in 2019. I helped set up the computer vision practice at Swiggy. And also it was a great experience because, you're dealing with a lot of data there and it was fun. And right now I'm currently leading a data science team as head of data science at Curl HG. And we are an AI startup in the commodity trading space. So we do a lot of document AI. We've been doing a lot of GenAI, LLMs. And it's actually a pretty interesting time because even I didn't expect this kind of an explosion. I mean, when OpenAI came in, GPT-3 came in, I was all like, okay, let's see where this is going. But I guess we are at the crossroads anyhow. So I want to touch upon the topics that we will be discussing today, right? So mainly when I'm talking about data-driven strategy, tech, product management, etc., right? We'll be talking about data-driven AI product management. Now, that is a whole big topic in itself. So we'll be covering some of the aspects of it. And maybe what we'll also do is, during the Q&A, maybe a lot more questions can come up and we can have a more open discussion there too, right? Because it's also all about experiences and also what empirical data shows. So I also understand that, if you are a fresher or you're just starting with AI or, in college, and you'll be wondering, hey, why is there no hands-on session today on maybe a diffusion model or LangChain, right? But this is a different kind of a session because it's not just about being a data scientist. From now on, it's also about understanding how to apply data science, how to follow a product management life cycle, etc., right? Because it's a new paradigm altogether. And with that, there are three things I wanted to touch upon. One is, what does this Gen AI mean for business innovation? Second is feasibility and the value story for AI products. And the third thing is data readiness for AI. Okay, so this is kind of a slide that almost everyone knows, right? So just to quickly wrap it up, right? So a generative AI could add 2.6 to 4.4 trillion dollars annually to the economy, raise global GDP by 7% in the next 10 years. And interesting thing is, once the ChatGPT launch was done, so every quarter, right, all this Fortune 500 companies, they'll have this called as a earnings call, saying that this is what we did, this is what we're going to do, this is how much we earned, etc. And in that case, right, everyone in every call, at least every other company is mentioning about AI at least 2-3 times, right, or even more after ChatGPT launch, which means AI has now become ubiquitous. I mean, everyone wants to jump into the bandwagon because one, if you don't, you could also be a laggard and become a dinosaur. So there's also one more thing here that says 10% of the tasks carried out by daily 80% of workers it could impact. I think there's a very conservative number. As a matter of fact, right, there is this new term that's coming out which is called as robo colleagues, right? Like Robocop, RoboColleague. So RoboColleague is basically like some kind of a LLM or a ChatGPT kind of a thing wherein, it's going to help you with your work, right? It's going to, like Iron Man and Jarvis. If you guys see Avengers, I like Jarvis. So imagine like Jarvis, right? I mean, without Jarvis, Iron Man would be very difficult. I mean, putting together all this, I don't know, whatever he does, right? Suddenly something comes, something doesn't come. So it could be your own Jarvis, and you will be using that for work. And I think for one of the Gartner reports, it says more than 100 million people will be using it. But yeah, I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, looks like a staggering number. Also going forward, I'm going to be showing a lot more information from Gartner and a few more things which it's more of a time tested, their statistics and data kind of also help us to build out a proper framework or a picture of GenAI. Okay, so GenAI, as I was talking about, robo-colleagues, the biggest impact for GenAI is going to be on knowledge work, right? And when I say knowledge work, it's mainly about decision making, collaboration, and usually these two decision making, right? Like for example, if I have to make a call, I wouldn't be like, I can't believe a completely AI model to do it. But at the same time, if that model can help me get all the data and is able to kind of collaborate with me and do it, and it's going to help me improve my productivity, which was the most difficult part of automation per se, right? Generative AI is going to do wonders there. And this is a report from Gartner. And if you have a look at it, right? So look at the center infographic. It shows decision making and collaboration. So when you're saying without generative AI applying expertise or managing or interfacing with stakeholders, it's like almost you can go from 24% to 58% of potential, or automation potential is what it's showing, right? So this is a very interesting thing. It's called as decision intelligence because it starts with a lot of automation wherein, the AI could be helping you out, but you look at what it's there and then say, okay, fine, and I'm going to approve, trust and verify. Then it could be something like a hybrid kind of a thing wherein the AI can automate everything else and pull you in whenever you need it. And maybe the next one is the AI itself being able to do something from one end to another, right? So that is a kind of a journey for decision intelligence, which is something. It's kind of a umbrella term wherein you can talk about everything else, like automation, your RPA, your chats with ChatGPT, or when you give your homework to ChatGPT, etc. Right? Anyhow, so four main things that GenAI will be very helpful in. One is customer operations. Customer operations could be your conversational AI, can be mostly conversational AI, or helping out when it comes to understanding customer issues, etc. Next is marketing and sales. The emails that are going to be generated, marketing material, personalized marketing material, etc. Software engineering, of course, right? Because interestingly, I'll just show a quote that Jensen had. Jensen is NVIDIA CEO, had shared. And R&D, R&D in the sense antibiotics and whatnot, and the whole slew of things, right? And most importantly, it's that GenAI will be able to automate our work activities so that it absorbs almost 60 to 70% of employees' time. And this is a very interesting inflection point because one is, if you don't know AI, it's fine, but someone who knows AI is going to take your job, right? So Jensen, NVIDIA had this, their keynote event, and he said, children don't have to learn programming. Imagine someone coming and telling you this when you were young, saying that, hey, you know what, don't learn programming at all, man, like big deal, right? So what he's saying is, don't tell your kids to learn computer science or programming. In fact, our job is to create computing technology such that nobody has to program, and the programming language is human. Everybody in the world is now a programmer, right? I know it's it took a minute for me. I paused and I was like, really? And I was like, yes, he's true. I mean, this is going to be a future. But at the same time, there is also concerns that AI will replace jobs, etc. One thing that we also need to know is that in 2018 there was a survey. The employment work titles that we have, like let's say in 2018, software developer, associate software developer, product manager, all these titles did not exist in 1940, right? So we are at an inflection point wherein few years down the line, a lot of other things will also change. But it's not like something like GenAI is going to be Skynet and all. Hopefully not. But anyhow, that's GenAI for you guys. But yeah, okay, GenAI is awesome. I don't have to go through the hype of things, right? It's like I mean, everyone talks about it. It's you have deep fakes at one point, and you have this amazing video quality, different videos coming out at another point. But let's be real, okay? AI projects do fail. I have had a share of my AI projects fail too, a lot more than I would care to admit. But why do they fail? And I think that's a good starting point. All this jazz and hype about GenAI, great. But it's like this energy that you have, right? A lot of potential. But how do we harness it? Because that is where the businesses today are struggling. From this year onwards, CXOs, the CEOs, business leaders have to show how to monetize AI, right? Startups that have been riding this coasting on investors' money have to show that there is revenue in this. It's not just some other, a trick and like, magic trick kind of a thing, but actually something that can solve a business problem, can create impact, etc. But that's where what's happening is there's some kind of people are kind of struggling, and a lot of lessons have been learned in the past, and it's a time for us to do some self introspection too. Maybe a few things like our mindset change, or the way we are doing this we have to change, etc. Right? And that's where I want to show this picture to you. I'm sure you would have seen this, right? Someone lost their keys, and that person was looking for the keys everywhere. And other person comes and asks, "Hey, what are you doing?" And this person says, "Hey, I lost my keys." And this guy's like, "Okay, but there is, the light is better here. I can't find my keys anywhere else. So I'm going to find my keys where the light is." This is actually bias. And I'm going to show you this bias, how it comes across in a lot of things. It's called as a streetlight effect. In AI projects, there's one thing I have noticed is that you will have this project that, or some kind of a use case that you get, and people will be like, you know what, we don't have the data for it, but for this use case, we have the data, so we will do it. So instead of actually looking at what's going to help us, which use case is going to help us, which project is going to help us, the bias goes towards, okay, this is the data we have. With this data, we'll do a project, right? But does that project work out for us? Not sure. Does that project help us solve the right problems? Not sure, because right problems could also mean that understanding what AI is going to deliver, right? Not just saying, okay, I'm thinking this is what you're going to give me. I thought, you will have something like ChatGPT. I type something, and then like Rajinikanth, it's going to give me everything else under the sun. Let's say, for example, yesterday, if I went and typed saying, "Hey, Vimlesh has asked me to give this webinar. I've been watching the CSK match. Can you, give something for me so that I can show to the people?" I didn't do that, but still. So there is this perceived, we think that, okay, this is going to be, and the hype doesn't help, of course, right? And this is the kind of a desired output saying, is this what we really need? Or this is what you're going to get? There's a big chasm there. And unrealistic time to ROI. I'm going to be using this term often, ROI, because that is very important now that, yeah, we have our collab notebooks and everything. We know how to productionize our models, but what is the bang for the buck? How is it helping us as a business, right? And this is my favorite term. AI is not IT. It's a kind of a thing wherein I kind of fight it out with people, but AI is not IT because IT projects are deterministic, right? AI projects are probabilistic. AI needs more of R&D. IT is more predictable. And the other thing is this, it's not that 15 years back, IT projects were all properly defined and everything. There's a lot of learning, a lot of framework that has gone in to where we are right now, where in engineering and IT, we are able to define things. But AI, though it's still a nascent stage, it's the right time for us to also redefine things. And that's where the mindset change also have to come. That we can't keep looking at it from just the IT, glasses, or you have to put your AI glasses on. Sorry, bad joke, but still, this is what I wanted to start with because, okay, fine, there are things you're saying data, you're saying there's right this problem we are not choosing, etc. But what is actually happening right now is this band-aid solutions is what I call it. Okay, we just slap it on top of it. And your CEO comes and says, or your whoever it is, like your business leader comes and says that, hey, you know what, guys, I went for this conference. People are talking about generative AI. We are doing generative AI, right? Well, I mean, it's not that we cannot do it, but since it again, the mindset change, do we have the infrastructure, all these things, have to come into picture because at the end of the day, Rajinikanth movies will only go for 3 hours and you have to go home, right? You can't be Rajinikanth in your life. You can try, but still, that's how it is. I mean, you just skip everything. You don't look at what your data is, where is your data, what is the usable data that you have, right? What are the different systems you have? No. What is the infrastructure that you have? We're not sure. What is even the data quality, right? Like maybe just a dump that you have, right? How is it even usable? And if you're just going to stick generative AI on top of it, say, I'm going to call OpenAI API, or I'm just going to train some data, I'm going to show something, trust me, this will not work. And this doesn't work. And I call this a band-aid solution because let's face it, AI will take time to get to an ROI. And that is where our product management principles also come into picture. Okay, I keep telling product management, etc. Right? Think of product management as something that you're building. Maybe this is house that you're building, etc. Right? And similarly, a product is something of that sort, wherein you're going to figure out why I'm doing this, what I am doing it for, and the how. The basic questions, the principle is what you're going to define and put governance on it, and also figure out how to fail faster and get there. Right. So in this case, again, if you're going to say I'm going to generative AI and I'm going to still follow a kind of an IT product kind of a stance, this is not going to work. It will fail. And this is where, the next meme, okay, this meme, I just put it for myself. If you've been in the industry, people will understand, right? So AI actually exists in PPTs, right? You can say awesome stuff about AI in PPTs, but now, from now on, you need to start building out data and AI. And this is the kind of thing, or book of work that we have, apparently. And then this is the kind of a budget that you have, right, to do this kind of work, right? So this is a kind of a dichotomy that you would see in a lot of companies, but that is where we are. GenAI is awesome, but we want a band-aid solution, but at the same time, budget is a concern. So what do we do next, right? Just to summarize that, I call this a dichotomy. The reason why I call this a dichotomy, the reason why this slide is very important for me is I was that person, I'm still a little bit, I was always like, this is awesome. I mean, we can create this, we can use this tool will change the landscape of this market, but okay, what is the value creation for it, right? What is the budget for it? Okay, I just got a question answer. I'll look at that a little bit later. What is the budget for it, right? So this is a kind of a dichotomy, right? So let's say, for example, okay, Deepak Kumar was asking about some practical examples, right? Let's say, for example, you are working in this animation company and suddenly you're like, okay, I tried Sora, Pavitra came and showed something. This is the thing. We're going to do this. We can build our own Jurassic Park movie, etc. But the question is not just about what are you doing as a company, right? This is going to help you, then great. But do you have the infrastructure for it? Then okay. But then how do we get there? And that is going to be a kind of an iterative process to get there, right? Maybe you don't need Sora, but maybe you need something for, a kind of a chat GPT / whichever LLM that you have that is going to help you get images or maybe write a script for you, etc. And you can start from there rather than just jump into Sora, right? Maybe. But if you think you have the infrastructure for it, then we can go for it, right? So this is the dichotomy. You have your foundational models. There are two things that you have to kind of balance: your budget and your ROI, right? The value creation for it. So coming for a little bit practical also, right? I mean, enough of the theory. I'm going to show you two use cases. This is real life use cases that I have worked on. Okay. Okay. So there are these two use cases. We have to see, this is kind of a exercise we'll do together. Okay. So we will go from the question and then slowly the context and a little bit of applying the frameworks, etc. So there are these two use cases. One is, you know, I find this model in which I can create from an image, right? Let's say, for example, it's just a 2D image. Let's say it's just a picture of this, my coffee mug. But okay, looks so not that great, fine. But if I'm able to make it a 3D kind of a thing with different angles to it, the user engagement will be great. Think of it if it's biryani, right? And it's not just a 2D image, but you see this biryani, which is in different angles, and it's like, yeah, like I want this Malabar biryani right now, isn't it? I'm going to go buy the Malabar biryani in this food app, right? So this was something that I thought was a very novel marketing technique, and this is going to be very this is an awesome model that we have. No one's done it. This will be amazing, etc. I mean, it did get traction from the business leaders. The second part was an AI automation, wherein it was about, there was a team, there were almost 200, 300 people, and they were taking so much time to digitize documents because, they had to manually put it in, or their tools that they were using was not good, etc. Right? So that was another one more interesting problem that we had, which is more on automation side. And it also needed computer vision, understanding the documents, and also figuring out what works for the ops team, etc. So you have two use cases, right? And just to give you a little bit of more context here, right? What are other things that we have for this use case? For the 3D image to video use case, it's like, hey, it's an awesome idea. If you go tell your investors, they're like, I'm using a diffusion model and we productionized it in our app, right? Amazing, right? Like it's when it comes to innovation, it looks like man, for tech PR and everything else looks great. The second side of things, we also have data when it comes to this AI automation that they've done some previous attempts at this. Maybe they've used some of the tools that's available in the market, but it was not helping them that much. But they have some data that they've generated based on this turnaround time. What is the ease of use, etc. Like number of documents that they can process. What are the different types of documents that they can process? So they have some data here, right? Now, before we even figure out which one actually got green lighted, let's look at some tools before we answer this, right? And the first tool I wanted to introduce is called as a feasibility study. Okay. So this is actually a framework from Gartner. And if you see this, right, one is your tech lead has come to you, your project manager has come to you. It does not matter whether a DS1 or a DS2 or whichever it is, it does not matter at all. They're coming to you and they're like, hey, you know what? This is the project that's been given to us. What do you think? How do you think we can do it? Sometimes we just sit in a meeting and say, this is possible, this is not possible. But actually what works is we looking at it from two or three different angles here. First, do you have the data for it? Is it labeled? Do we even have the architecture to train this? Right? If you're talking about I want some 15 GPUs for training it, maybe we don't have. But no, we can actually do this in another different form wherein I can train it on only one GPU, or we can use some other ML model first and then something else. So what are the options out there, right? On technology feasibility also saying, is it like I mean, I have to buy license of a software and it's so expensive. Should we do that, etc. Right? I mean, is it feasible or not? And skills. This is also very important because I didn't talk about it. But if you're going to have very inexperienced team, they might not be able to understand the complexity or able to understand the implications, or they will not be able to move the needle there at all. We'll just be having some kind of a false start and we'll be showing some output. Yeah, maybe it's good the first 1 or 2 months, but later on when you're going to go to production and your customer looks at it and they're like, okay, this is not what I asked for. So technical feasibility factors. The next is your business value factors. And this is where we kind of miss out a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even say this more from a strategy perspective, whether it's aligning with our mission, values, sponsor support, that is also fine, but it's a KPIs, right? KPI are basically key performance indicators. I mean, it can be anything. It can be something like even TAT, your turnaround time, your time to some number metric, which actually shows there is impact, right? Okay. And then you can also rank it. So this is one thing even I want to follow, because this looks like puts everything at least on an Excel sheet, right? Otherwise, everything is in your head and you don't know. But it's not just about feasible. It's also about being valuable, right? And sometimes when we are caught up in this tech world, right, it's all about feasibility. Can we get this done? This is awesome. I have this thing. There is another adapter we can put, and we can do this thing. Yesterday, NVIDIA put this library. We can do it. I'm talking about myself. This is what I usually do. But the next side of things that you need to look at, more from perspective of principles or the practice of product management, is that, are we delivering value? Okay. And what is value even here? Because at the outset, if you just say it's a yes, no question, no. You need to develop something called as the value story, right? And that is how we communicate to the business. Because see, at the end of the day, let's say there is a CFO, okay, and they're calling you and saying, in a startup, it doesn't matter, right? In enterprise, maybe, or your senior manager will be going in, but in a startup, you're there and they're picked you up, say that you're one of the smart cookies, you can figure out things, and they're like telling, hey, you know what, Pavitra, what do you think about this? And then I go rattling off on, NVIDIA library, best in case, I mean, we'll do this and that. Their first question in their mind is going to be, how is it going to help us? How is it going to increase our revenue? Or is there anything else? Is it going to reduce cost? What are the dimensions that you're looking here? Because yes, I love about the NVIDIA library. We should definitely do it. Our team is like that, right? Like our team is awesome. We can do it. But is it relevant? Is it clear to us? And you're not selling any snake oil, right? Like, I mean, that's very true, because AI, it's also not like in IT wherein we can actually show proper results in IT. But in AI, it's a little bit of a speak on top of the air because it's unpredictable, right? So mainly one thing is, once even you have your use cases and everything, one thing you need to think about is impact, because impact is what is going to show you your value, right? And when you're looking at it from an impact perspective, you look at, I really like this slide because you can use this like, as a slide somewhere, you can keep it and you can see where is the impact in this use case, right? What is the revenue impact? Saying, is it going to increase my, is it going to decrease my bottom line, increase my top line? Is it going to reduce cost? Is it going to do some risk mitigation here? Because that's also very, very important, because let's say, especially in financial use cases, if you don't do proper compliance and audit, there is regulation, and the kind of a price that you have to pay there, it could also be a reputational price, right? So there is risk mitigation, etc. And also, are you GDPR compliant, whichever it is. So when you're looking at a use case, when you're someone's coming and saying, hey, you know what, let's build this conversational AI, let's build this recommendation system. My question to you is also to ask the why behind it, not from a question of whether this will work or not, but just to understand what is the impact that we're trying to create, right? Because even that is going to help you to determine, to understand what you're going to, what is the actual work here, rather than not being aligned there, right? So two things. One is feasibility, and which should be valuable. And when I say valuable, value creation, it means impact, right? But talking about impact, there are two mistakes people sometimes do, right? Is that impact could be, you'll say, hey, you know what, we're talking about impact in case of, yeah, I mean, we'll have faster time to do this, yeah, I'm able to, let's say, for example, I'm able to automate something, okay? And the automation has reduced from 7 minutes, if for me it has reduced to 5 minutes. Is that an impact? Not sure, right? And if they're going to do that task maybe 10, 50 times a day, maybe not an impact. But if they're doing 100 times a day, yeah, there definitely is an impact there. I mean, you're reducing cost, right? So in terms of not just progress metrics, you need to also look at it from a business impact metrics, revenue, cost, risk, right? These are a little bit of higher terms, but my thing is we need to start, exercising that muscle, right? What is this? What does a business speak here also, right? The next thing is, someone has told you, Pavitra, create some numbers, tell me what is the return on investment here, and I will just go in and crunch some numbers, something else, and I'll be like, okay, before tea time, I have this thing, right? Yeah, okay, but there are so many other things here. What are the biases? Have you spoken to the stakeholders? What is the reality here, right? Will this work? Will this not work? It's the story where they say, I'm going to cut a tree means if I have 8 hours, I'm going to sharpen the axe for 6 hours, right? So thinking about the value story is very important. Cool. Now coming to this feasibility, I was talking about value, I was talking about impact, and surprise, surprise, my AI automation project is what got green lighted, and that's what actually went into production and also actually helped. Somewhere this is a little bit personal for me because I really felt, I did a really good top-down opportunity discovery. I went and spoke to my hey, Mahesh, I'll answer your questions a little bit later, but you can keep asking questions. I'll take the questions a little bit later. So I was all like, okay, but I gave an amazing idea, right? Why not? Why didn't you take it up? But the thing is this, it's amazing idea is great. I mean, yeah, maybe investors is great. But if I had to look at it from a value point of view, I was able to justify the cost when it comes to the AI automation, and the business needed it now. This maybe it improved the user engagement from 5 to 10, 5 to 7% or 5 to 8%. We don't know. And I'll also be touching upon this use case because it's not just about the use case, right? It's not about dissing about the use case, but also how we could have approached it, right? So we'll come to that a little bit later, but considering the feasibility and the value creation, it was a second use case that got green lighted and went for production. Yeah, I'm going to make a statement here. So if you are going to be a data driven, right? When I'm talking about feasibility and value creation, everything else, at the end of the day, we're talking about metrics, objective way of looking at things, right? A data driven product manager is also a data scientist. So why do I say so? Because one is if you are being a product manager or a product creator, product owner, whichever it is, right? Or you have a use case and you have to implement it. You have to get the kind of approval from people for this budget approval and get that thing done. You have to start with hypothesis and start collecting data. And I know there is this gut feeling and everything else, yes, but the gut feeling is also an hypothesis which has to be backed by some data at least. Otherwise, we must be barking at the wrong tree. As a matter of fact, the more I am reading about and I'm also seeing how a practice of product management in AI is going to be, it also means that you have to be a data scientist. I mean, following the same data science principles, saying, you know what, I'm not going to bring in my bias. I'm going to look at the data. I'm going to analyze the data, and then I'm going to build a model, right? So this is all these things I told you about. This is all you have to do as an AI product manager, right? Not just as an AI product manager, but also as someone who's going to be working with an AI product manager, right? Because I'll just cover why this role is a little bit different from your normal product management. I don't want to call it normal, but maybe a different flavor of it, because it's not like this is against this, right? It's a different flavor. But in this specifically, you need to have technical knowledge of data and AI. You need to know, I'm not saying go and learn the model architectures, but you need to know what each model does. You need to have that kind of a working knowledge, right? And then also the applied knowledge. Like this comes with experience, but also if you go and talk to people, saying that I call this a bulldozer / hammer. So let's say I want to put a nail into my, some table or something, it's loose. Okay. And for that, I'm going to go bring a bulldozer. Okay. I know it's funny, but that's how sometimes we do it. It could be a small use case or something else, or completely irrelevant, right? Where a hammer could have actually done the job. So it doesn't matter in this case whether it's a Gen AI use case you want to bring. It can be a simple ML model that you can bring in, but it actually gives us value, right? And of course, your PM skills and everything else also comes into picture. Stakeholder alignment, how are you creating the problem statement, governance, etc. So for an AI product manager, the one as someone who's going to be looking at these use cases and all, there are another 3 more things. In a product manager, this is a different flavor to it. You'll be looking at UX, customer experience, tech side of things, whether it's feasible or not, what is available in your company, business side of things, how do I create more revenue for the company, or how do we reduce it, what is the dollar value of it, etc. Here in this case, the different flavor of AI product management. One is you need to understand data and AI fluency. You, in this case, have to be the Rajnikant in your company, wherein you're going to go and sell AI, market AI, talk about AI, educate AI to your C-level leaders or your business leaders, whichever it is. You evangelize AI, right? Because that's how you can create some sort of functional knowledge and AI conceptual knowledge. Otherwise, the same thing, band-aid solution only will come, right? Because people don't understand, and that's also a job of I would even say a data scientist job is also to do that. Yes, not just a product managers. Then the second thing is use case familiarity. This is where your feasibility, how are you going to assess it, etc., comes into picture. And the third thing is buy-in and alignment, right? Because this is also about you are the North Star for the company and you are setting up the why, and which means you need to answer it and have people, come and work with you. So these are three main things that I see that are, a different kind of an alignment, a different kind of flavor to your product management. And last but not the least, I know there's some more that I also wanted to cover a little bit more. This is, if you want to take up a screenshot of it, just take this up. This is, if my whole webinar has to be just one slide, it is this slide, right? Because yeah, we've seen why GenAI is awesome, okay, cost, ROI, value, feasibility, and all. But the next is how do we rank and do this, right? What I would suggest is, if you look at this, there are two things here. One is the value. The other one is your cost / risk or complexity, etc. Let's say, coming back to the same story, like I'm going to use a Sora kind of a model. I'm going to train a Sora kind of a video model, right? Now, that is a transformational initiative. It's the cost is high, but the value could also be very high. You will be a market leader maybe. But maybe that's not the place where you start, right? It has to be aligned with where the business is. Otherwise, you will lose track. You will not be aligned. You will just be, it's an ivory tower. You're building a castle in the air. And that is where I'm saying first you start with the quick wins. It can be a simple model. It can be even a then else statement, but it has to deliver value. If you are able to go and talk to your domain expert there and you're able to find out the workflow, what is the real pain point? Yes. And if we're able to find this thing, can we do it? And then with that, can we generate more data and look at what else can we do next? Maybe a little bit like, we put a little bit more cost, but hey, we kind of proved it to you. We showed value creation. Now there is another one more opportunity here that we can do. And then again, we can go on this, right? So this is what it is mostly, even whether it's Gen AI or AI, whichever it is, I would suggest start with a quick win. And then slowly start increasing the complexity of it, right? Now, yeah, complexity of it, yes. But underlying, as I was talking about the mindset, AI is not IT. There's also a very, very important thing that people are missing out. The same streetlight effect thing. We take data as a constant. See, data matlab to, it can be anything, right? Like, I have some images, I have some attendance data. Yeah, okay, fine. But it's not just about the data. It's also about how I'm going to use the data in an AI product, right? And how I'm going to use it in an AI use case. And half the time, you will be happy in Kaggle. Kaggle will give you your, really beautiful data sets, properly cleaned and everything. You have done everything. And then you go to a startup or a company or enterprise, and then they'll be like, yeah, we don't have the data for it, but, we wanted to build a model. And you're like, hey, that isn't how it works, right? So that is where we need to also understand that data is also a product. And this is a very interesting quote I heard. Data is the simplest thing to create. Just now I'm talking, I'm creating data. There'll be like, what is the time? How many people answered? How many participants are there? A lot more other things that I can look at, and I can keep generating data. But it's the hardest thing to get right. Because even if you have all the data in the world, But if you don't have the right kind of data, or you've not labeled your data, or whichever it is, you have transformed your data, then your data is not usable. You can sit on a lot of data, yes, right? And I'm sure you've heard this thing, data is the new oil and all. I follow a person called as Vin Vasishta. I really like the way he puts it, right? And he was like, in one of his podcasts says, oil, no, of course not. Because you know why? Oil, petroleum products, anything will be used once and it's gone. But a data set, once you create a proper data set, it's a product in itself which can be used for other things. Data can be used again and again and again. So the value for creating a proper data itself is a value proposition. It's a product in itself, right? And that's why people are calling data as a novel asset class. And this, I don't want to go too deep into it, right? Because what actually happens is more from an enterprise point of view too. There's an interesting topic that's coming up called as a data fabric. Because if you've been working in companies, you will know that data comes from different places, right? It can be from your database RDBMS. It can be some app documents that you have. It can be sitting somewhere in your AWS or some other data lake, etc. SQL query, structured data. So now people are looking at how do we connect everything, the data across. How do we collect, interpret, create, and collate data, which is usable? And for that, it's where you need to set up a data infrastructure too. But this is a long-term ROI, right? So more like when you start working on the quick wins, this also needs to be something that has to be worked on for a longer time. Maybe it'll take a year or two for a company to get that right. You have your data silos in the sense that there's one database there, there's another database there, no one knows what is working on. We don't even know what data is available. There is information black holes wherein, oh, we had this, oh, we don't have this data, I thought we had it, right? So basically, how do we make data work for us? Because once we crack data, then a lot of things are possible, right? And coming to it, just like I showed that GenAI, how can you rank from quick wins to going to a little bit of a better use case and then going to something transformational, right? I would say we can do it in 5 stages, right? Level 1 is basic. DNA actually here means data and analytics, right? It's more transactional. It can also be a rules system, whichever it is. For now, it's a standalone thing. It's working well. Maybe it's showing some value. The next thing can also be something that's not relevant to the business, right? Like, okay, I mean, you're selling something, you're getting something, it's okay. But maybe for a smaller kind of an effort for our own sake, an internal tool, it's helping us. And next is where, you can start looking at how else can we take it to the organizational level, right? And once it goes there, how do we make it organization wide, etc. I know it sounds like an MBA class, but trust me, this is not much of an MBA class. It's more about, I'll now put it in a more data science point of view, right? Let's say you're a data scientist and you start out with a small ML model or a rules engine or even a DL model, whichever it is, right? And you go figure out, you see that there is a gap and you are able to create some value with let's say you're working with the finance team and they're like, hey, awesome, man. We're able to invoices very easily with your thing. Awesome, very good, right? And we're able to generate more data from it, right? And in the sense that the number of invoices that we have done, who is it going to, some analytics that we can go and show the finance manager, something else emerges. Then next you work on the data that is generated, right? Go for another use case, build on top of it. Again, there'll be some more data that's generated wherein the finance managers could all be together and they got some of the data there, or they are like, hey, you know what, not just invoices, can we do something else? Hey, this team, the other team, they saw your app and they really liked it. The other risk team, the compliance team, can you go talk to them and see? And then you slowly start building from there, right? So this is what I would say, rather than doing a band-aid solution, you have to start from the basic, or even at least from an L1 or L2. But that is where, yes, for quick wins it works, but also from an organizational strategy point of view, you need to build the infrastructure for AI, right? Okay, so I want to touch upon a little bit on AI product management learning / career path. I am not the right person to tell you about this. And I know one thing about this generation is that Yeah, you guys will figure it out. But the thing is, the AI product management comes in three things. One is your data, tech, and your business, right? And you are sitting, you're standing in the center of it. And the thing is, I took a product management course recently, but there are a lot of things that are coming up. But I would also say that, reading more of blogs, understanding not just from a text perspective, but also the use case perspective is something that, like an extracurricular, you need to learn, right? Because that puts things in perspective. And one thing that I always loved about this AI ROI Trinity model, right? Because again, AI is not IT kind of a thing. We always look at it from a measurable ROI, which is correct. Yes, I'm able to go from level 1 to level 2, level 3. But what about from an organizational point of view, right? How is it going to help me in the next 3-4 years? And from a capability ROI point of view, basically saying, do we have the right team for it, right? Because without the talent, where are we going to go? So it's all about ROI and learning about it. So learning wise, what I would suggest is there are AI product management courses. I heard the Udemy one is also really good. They have a micro Udacity, sorry, Udacity or Udemy. I'll just check it. It's a micro degree. They have that too. If you are a product manager, if you're moving from here from product manager role to an AI product manager role, I would suggest you need to get hands-on a little bit understanding data science tech skills too, right? So yeah, I think the reason why I am touching on AI product management is that it's the need of the hour now. At least for the next 6 months to 1 month, 1 year, I would see people are like, hey, you know what, we can train models, but what to train, how to do, no one's answering that, right? And that is a good gap that you can fill, right? Anyhow, so I think we have time for Q&A. This is my LinkedIn profile, and that's my email ID. I'll open up for questions. Okay, Stephen Matthew has said, could you suggest AI product management courses? Mahesh's question is, how does generative AI help in mechanical product design?
There are a few questions on chat.
Yep. Yeah, I got it. So I'll actually take Ram's question. I'll come to you a little bit later, Mahesh and Deepak. Right? There's a little bit of a technical question. I'll come to you a little bit later. So Ram, the thing is this, right? It's not just a buzzword. That is the whole point. Because there is, as you see, there is a lot of potential. But what is actually happening is where the trust people are losing is because there are all these people who are like making it say, oh, everything is going to be great and awesome. But unless and until you figure out how we're going to get there, right? It's going to be difficult. And it's actually, I would say a little bit of common sense wherein you sit together and say, I don't need this often. GenAI also, I would say, don't need it. But first of all, do you need AI? Because one is, you need to ask that question first. It's not maybe meant for all the companies, and it's not like, hey, you know what, just because I told this, please go and do it, right? As a matter of fact, if you know the company called as Zerodha, his name is, I forgot his name. Does anyone know Zerodha's CEO's company, Kamath? I forgot his name. Yeah. So he said that, you know what, I don't need, for Zerodha is doing really, really well, by the way. It's a and he said, you know what, we don't need an AI team. And he's perfect, he's right. They don't. For what? For the sake of showing your investors, right? So yeah, how does that help me? And that's a good question that he asked. And blockchain, etc., right? Blockchain still has some use with cryptocurrency. Nitin Kamath, yes, right? I mean, that was a really good thing that he did because everyone else is running behind it, right? Just because Microsoft is doing it, you don't have to do it. But at the same time, are there use cases, as I said, customer operations, sales and marketing that you can use? You don't have to be a AI first company to do it, but is there something else that you can utilize for your sales, for reducing costs? Then yes, you need to consider that. And not just slapping another kind of one API on top of it, right? It's also about how you are going to actually understand if you're going to do this API, what are things that you need, which is what is missing. These tools are what is missing, right? Cool. Ram, if you have more questions, do you think that every company want to enable AI without knowing it? That is the problem. They want to enable AI without knowing what AI is. And that is where AI product manager / whichever it is, even if you're a data scientist, even if you're a software developer, does not matter. right? If you're a project manager, does not matter because it is just a skill, it's a practice, that's all. But this is the kind of a tool that you need to go and tell them, hey, do we really need it? Okay, let's start with this, right? Let's start with a kind of a feasibility study. These are things that we can do. What is the cost that we can save? And you ask them, is it really what we want, right? Or is it just like, someone got a car which is red color, so I want to buy a red color car? Not sure. And that is where businesses are making the mistake now. And that is where there is a gap that you can address, right? Okay, so I'm going to Mahesh's question. I'm working as a senior product design engineer. How does tech product manager course aid in my profession, right? So that's a really good question because one is, Mahesh, I would say not just from a course perspective, but if you also take a shorter course, whichever it is, understanding the techno-functional aspects of it is going to help your projects succeed. Because it's like what is happening is if you're just going to do the sake of this task has been given, this project has been given, but is there anything else I can help with my stakeholders, right? Is when I was talking about this perceived versus this, maybe they'll, I'm not sure, I'm just making this up maybe, right? They would have thought, Mahesh, I wanted something so totally different, but you're just showing me this. I didn't expect this. This is what I wanted, but where did this gap come from? Unless you can say that there's another someone's responsibility, accountability, and all these things. Yes, but the more and more senior and you keep growing the ladder, going up the ladder, right? You need to also be a stakeholder and start influencing people, saying, "Hey, you know what? The techno-functional aspects of it, feasibility of it, how does it help me? I mean, what is a product here or a service here?" So those angles also, more from a holistic perspective, will be really helpful, right? Because it's the way I see it, it's as I told you, right? The jobs are going to change. Maybe, I don't know, ChatGPT is able to train. I'm genuinely scared, okay? I was when ChatGPT came. I mean, no one's going to come and tell me, Pavitra, go train this object detection model anymore. And ChatGPT can do it, or some other model can do it, right? In a way, either I'm going to be replaced or I'm going to see to that it's a tool that I can use so that I create more value, right? So this is one more thing I would say, not just from a perspective, that's why I keep saying practice of product management rather than product management itself, right? Yeah, Ram, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just adding, as there are a couple of people were asking regarding the certification program. So I just thought I'll quickly add, one thing here. So as a TimesPro, we are offering IIT Delhi Tech Product Management course, with the curriculum that teaches everything from the product ideation to product launch. And this course is basically 5-month program, will teach you through a blend of theory with a practical and interesting approach for the capstone project, where they can bring their own product or innovation. And when IIT Delhi, they have a BYOP model. They can build the product under the expert guidance of, IIT Delhi faculty and also industry experts, where they can get to learn industry leading tools like, Figma, Notion, MicroSQL, etc. And this program will also give them opportunity of one-day campus immersion at IIT Delhi campus, where they can meet their, faculty and the industry leader who are help them building the product, and also they can network with them. And also they can prove their expertise through e-certificate issued by IIT Delhi on the successful completion of the program. So in case, if somebody are, like to interest related this particular program, and if they would like to know more, I'm going to just post the link here of the program. In case if you are interested, you can just go and, have a visit on the program. Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I'll also have a look at it.
Yeah, this is something, this is a new program which we have TimesPro and IIT Delhi is offering, where they can bring their product and they can, build the product from the scratch with the expert of, with the help of IIT Delhi faculty and also few industry leaders.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Yep. Okay, I have a couple of questions, maybe again from Ram. Ram, yes, this is becoming a market strategy more to sell their product because they don't want to miss the bus. Completely agree, but the reckoning is coming soon, Ram, right? Because investors or whoever it is, right, they're not going to keep giving you money if you're not going to show revenue, right? So that is where in another next 2 years is where people have to start showing revenue. A lot of business leaders have come up and said, hey, you know what, we're going to make money out of this, but they have no idea how they're going to make money out of it, right? And that is where this whole gap is because we have the technical ability, there is business need, but who is bringing those things together? How is India's expected data privacy policy expected to impact the adoption of GenAI? Anshuman has asked this question. So Anshuman, I did have a look at it. There's this, I think NASCOM had an event and I forgot the name of the AI act they're going to have. I think it's a good thing we have that, Anshuman, because GenAI adoption, even if it's kind of more like if you have more of malicious actors, then that kind of an adoption we don't need also, right? In the sense that from a regulation perspective, it's going to create us more harm. So having a proper data privacy policy is also one more framework we need to put in for GenAI. Because especially one thing I see is, okay, I'm going to alarm you guys a little bit, but let's say, for example, you have a system, what is it? The authentication, right? Your facial authentication, you go in and it opens a door for you. Where do you think the image is going? We don't know, right? And it also depends on your organizational policy. Where is this image going to? Is it going to some Chinese server, and then that's where it's getting inferenced? We don't know, right? Let's say is Flipkart sending all your data to ChatGPT? I don't know, right? There's a question that we have to ask Flipkart. I don't know. I'm not just Flipkart. I'm talking about anything anywhere else too. Who is using your data, how we don't know, right? And that is where we definitely need to bring a data privacy policy because we're extremely lax at it. And that is also giving a free rein to startups to, say that I can do all this stuff. But hey, once you bring these things in, it also, as a governance perspective, we definitely need it. So it's not going to impact, but at the same time, yes, if you're going to have a blanket ban on things, it is going to impact. Like without understanding, we're just going to say, hey, you know what, you're going to work in GenAI? No way. You come to me, I'll put a signature, only then you can go and release that model. That is not the right way to do it. So we need to, I think, learn a little bit here and there and then figure that out too. A framework that actually works rather than stifling it too. Right? Okay. So Ram, I want to know your thought on how AI can help an MDM. I want to understand what MDM is here. Yeah, much of AI and ML depends on Google, Amazon, Azure's compute infrastructure. Do you see any credible Indian player coming into the picture here? AI for Bharat is doing really well. They also released a new Indic LLM library. But when it comes to models, yes, I think a few of there is Xstep. It's funded by Nandan Nilekani. There are a few more things also that you can use for Indic and everything else also. But compute infrastructure, as I said, no, Anshuman, it's a game that these guys started a long time back. AWS put in a bet and Amazon put in a bet in AWS, and that is the most, I don't know, money-making business unit that they have. Right? As in that case, AWS is a market leader still. Azure got left out. Google to some extent is still playing second fiddle to AWS. But compute infrastructure wise, there is also one more thing we need to understand is that it's massive data center. It's a massive OpEx infrastructure cost that has to go in. I am not sure. There are a few players though, but they are smaller players. Like there is E2E, there are a few more players. But more investments are coming in from, let's say, AWS and Azure, where they're putting in data centers across India, which is helping. But I think NVIDIA is working with CDAC or CDC, I'm not sure. So they were working on something where they were creating a data center. But I really hope we have this kind of some sort of a public data center too, which will help us. Master data management. Yes. Oh, Ram, yes. Master data management. Trust me, that is a whole new thing that I didn't even touch upon. Okay. The other thing is this. What is now happening is, I was talking to some business leaders from across from US and all, right? And there was this person who came from Europe and saying, everything is everywhere, and they have given me this task saying you put a GenAI thing, but I can't even connect my data together, right? It's all siloed, right? And another thing comes into picture here saying how do you even interpret the data? You need to have some kind of a domain expertise or some sort of an understanding of the data. And the master data management itself, there is a lot of domain expertise that people have done it, right? But what is happening is they are in another silo, we are in another silo. We need to kind of match it together. Because one thing for me where I was looking at is a knowledge management per se, right? Because okay, if you're going to have RDBMS here and there, a primary key here and everything else of that sort, but is your data in a place wherein I have to write 10 SQL queries to get a simple insight, right? But I mean, you're telling ChatGPT is so awesome, like some artificial general intelligence and all, but there is this huge data that I have sitting there, and I don't even know. I have to send to create an analyst, sit and work on it for one day to know for this company for the last 1 year, this is the kind of a revenue we generated, right? But this would have been so helpful when I was talking to that COO or CFO of that company. So as a matter of fact, master of data management, it's a lot of things, especially in the finance world. I'm not a domain expert there. What I would suggest is you also go and talk to more domain experts to understand that. Cool. Any more questions? I think I overshot my time. But anyhow, so the thing is this, right, guys? The reason why I want to take this as a topic is because it's not well known among the technical circles, right? And I just want to tell this because one is, during COVID, if you, not sure if you guys know, so Swiggy had put in this thing wherein a check to say whether our drivers, our delivery executives, are they wearing a mask or not before they come to your house, right? So we developed a a mass reduction model, and it was all done within 2-3 weeks. We were in pilot, and then we were in 2-3 cities, and we rolled out the whole governance and the product management of it. I really loved working with the product managers there because more from a perspective of we're talking the same language. But also, one thing I noticed is that there's something called as a PRD that is usually followed, which is a product requirements document. And the document ran for 25 pages, but there was only one line saying, we are going to call this DS model. That's all, right? Because without the DS model, the whole thing doesn't exist. Without that CD model, without object reduction, mass reduction model doesn't exist. But in that 20 pages, there was nothing to talk about it other than, we're just going to call an API. So what about the issues that as a data science team we are going to face? How are we going to look at the risks there? Nothing is documented there, right? So that is where I think there is a huge gap wherein it is both. I think people can transition from a data scientist to a tech role to this, or even play a more techno-functional role as you move or as you, become more senior or take on more interesting use cases.
Great. First of all, I would like to thank, Pavitra for, having you here. And it was a very insightful session. In fact, we learned so many things from your end. And in fact, it was a great insightful session. And I hope really all of our attendees have also got a lot of insight from you. And again, I would like to thank all our attendees for taking out your time on Saturday morning and, joining us for the session. And hopefully, we can get one more session from Pavitra in future based on a different topic. And once again, Pavitra, thank you once again. And it was really a pleasure hosting you with us. And we will look forward in future to host more session. And once again, thank you all. Have a great Saturday and have a good weekend.
Thanks, TimesPro. Thanks, Time English, for this opportunity.
Thank you.